Oh my God! What just happened? The Mets just happened. Jacob deGrom makes history. The Mets strike out an ever-living 19 Braves. They win 5-2. They win 4-5. Sayonara, Atlanta. We'll see you soon for our next matchup. But until then, enjoy these W's, Mets fans. Let's effing go. 70 dubs on the year, tying the New York Yanks. Yanks lose 5. The Mets have won what feels like almost every single game post All-Star break. We're vibing. We're feeling electric. An amazing game for Jacob deGrom, who is simply unhittable until quite literally his final batter. So many amazing takeaways from today's game, guys. Smash that like, smash that subscribe. But more than anything, guys, get those damn W's in the chat. Oh, my goodness. For a second consecutive night, regardless on how you feel about that or not, I did see that you saw Mets fans doing the tomahawk chant towards Braves. That was for the sake of doing it against them. I found that hilarious. Anything beyond that, I completely understand everyone's opinions. But guys, insane game, so electric. My back is hurting from yelling my absolute ass off. I apologize. I know that not everyone in the show likes me yelling constantly, but guys, this is me being genuine. I'm not hiding anything. I was literally jumping on my feet. Joely Rodriguez goes 2 scoreless. Who would have thought? Is Billy Big Buck's really big brain better than all of us Mets fans? Edwin Diaz once again shuts the door by striking out the side of the ninth. The offense steps up. Spencer Strider only goes 2.2 innings. This Mets team is the best I've ever seen in my young life as a Mets fan. Oh my God, they are doing insane stuff right now. This is nuts. This is actually nuts. The Braves are literally closer to the Phillies than they are the Mets in the division right now. The Mets get the Reds tomorrow, too. Oh, my gosh. How we feeling, Mets fans? Wow. Bang. That's all I got to say is bang. Bang for people. Hype in the chat, baby. I see it, Dono. Let me get to that quick. Then we'll go forward in the show. My back hurts so bad. I'm literally going to freaking cough a lung out. Huge statement this weekend for the Mets, says James. Absolutely. I throw Miguel and Pearson in the pen. This weekend made me proud to be a Mets fan. I've been proud of the Mets all year long, but I have to hope that at this juncture, Mets fans, you would have to think that if you're not on the wave now, you're never going to be. This team is literally insane. 31 games above 500. They literally just absolutely pistol whipped one of the best teams in all of the NL. The reigning World Series champs, guys. I said it all. Darren Ruff, even though that he didn't do anything today. Daniel Vogelback coming in clutch, getting on base, right? Tyler Naquin. These Zep acquisitions have been huge. And the starting staff, would everyone believe the biggest acquisition you can make at the trade deadline was Jacob deGrom's return? Jake comes in, looks quite literally the most dominant I've ever seen him, other than his start against the Nationals earlier last year. I think this has to be right up there with it as the most dominant, the most filthy, the most video game cheat code-esque I've ever seen a pitcher on the mound. And he comes down and he gets the Mets the win. They score offense for him. It was the best of both worlds. The Mets got the pitching from the starting staff. They got the pitching from the bullpen. Joely Rodriguez, how you doing? I've been wanting you to get to your fade, not anymore, but stay in the pen. You're doing great. Edwin Diaz shuts the door. The offense comes up clutch when you need it to. Everything balanced beautifully this entire series, folks. The Mets absolutely took it to their rivals. They sent him back to Atlanta. I'm already pumped up thinking about the next matchup between these two teams. I think they have at least 2 or 3 more series on the year. I'm feeling absolutely electric. I might pass that on screen. If you do, you know why. Wow. Oh, my goodness. 1,200. Zabucky would have completed the perfecto. Thank you so much for the dono. You're the absolute beast here in the chat. Guys, we got so much. Did the Mets win? Exactly. Did the Mets win, Ben? I don't know. Why don't you guys let me know in the chat? Did the Mets win tonight? Let me know in the chat, guys, right now. Everybody, let's get more hype going. I got a lot to say about this Mets game. I got the laundry list of bullet points from everything that transpired. My biggest takeaway. Guys, I would like to emphasize one thing and one thing clear right now. Again, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, guys. We're trying to get 400 likes by the end of the live show. And, of course, trying to get 18K subs for the next short-term goal on the channel. But, guys, the biggest thing that I want to share with you all right now, my Warriors top 5, it is so subjective. I honestly want Joely even higher. I just kind of set up more last minute. So that's why, because I didn't even expect Joely to go back out there for the 8th. That surprised me. Buck made a ballsy move, and it paid off. So, guys, you can go about the top 5 however you want. If you guys want, guys, a different way, I'm not blaming you whatsoever. I'm just telling you, there were so many positives from today's game. I actually meant to put an entire clip, a highlight of Daniel Vogelbach running first to home. I do have a slight highlight in here, as you see on the graphic. Not enough, though, because there's a complete video of Vogelbach doing his complete wrap around the bases. He was absolutely nuts. This Mets team, this is the best I've ever seen. I've never seen a Mets team like this. 2015 Mets doesn't even sniff how deep, how balanced, and how dominant this Mets team is. The 2015 Mets, the most recent Mets team that was actually really, really strong, they were nothing until the trade deadline. This guy named Yoenis Cespedes came in and then dominated the way he did and went them on a tear. Daniel Murphy in playoffs. We know the story there. Some great pitching overall. The Mets couldn't get it done. However, this Mets team right now, you expect them to dominate. You expect them to go into playoffs and actually make something happen. There are little surprises at this juncture. If anything is a surprise for the Mets for the remainder of the year, it's a surprise if they do not go far. It's not a matter of should they. It's a matter of if they don't. That should shock us at this rate. This Mets team is on another level. They made a lot of good acquisitions. We'll see how the bullpen holds up down this stretch. But a huge shout out to Buck, who just did laps, simply did laps around Brian Snitker, the same way he did laps against Aaron Boone in the Subway Series. And shout out the Yanks for losing 5 straight, getting shut down by Monty, which the Mets beat up on in the Subway Series. Now the Yanks, I wonder if the Yanks took this series against the Cardinals seriously, because according to Keith McPherson, the schmuck that he is for the fan, apparently the Yanks didn't take the Mets seriously. So let's see if they took the Cardinals seriously here as they got swept by them. And again, I don't have the Yanks in my head. I find it hilarious that you see the downward direction and the upward direction all at once for the two best teams, the only teams in New York, rather. But guys, let's talk about this Mets win. Let's talk about this Mets game. Thank you everyone so much for chiming in. I'm going to give my analysis, raw reaction, as you see right here, to everything that the Mets were able to do, guys. And of course, after that, I'll get into more of your donations, your comments, your concerns, all that fun stuff. But thank you guys so much. Everyone knows how important this series was for the Mets, guys. There's a reason. And again, I'm grateful to say, the past 2 shows that we've done on the channel have been among the best live shows that we've done all year for the most part, other than a select few when talking about post-game shows, right? And the reason why they've done so well viewership-wise is because everyone's so pumped up. They know the severity of the series. If the Mets lose 4 or 5 against the Braves, folks, we're neck and neck in this division. Just like that, the Mets could lose it the following day if they lose against the Reds tomorrow, in which their former draft pick now, Justin Dunn, part of that Kelenic Edwin Diaz deal, will be making his MLB debut his Reds debut against the Mets no less tomorrow. I'll be breaking down later. I'll be recording my podcast, Bleav in Queens, episode, I think, 12 now, with myself, Joe Sorrell, and Anthony Recker. Yes, that Anthony Recker, former New York Met, now MLB Network, and of course, Apple TV analyst. We got a lot of breakdown. Enough of me ranting, even though I will continue to. Guys, let's talk about this game. Let's talk about this game, because you know what? When the Mets score early, let me hear it in the chat. I think you guys know the rest of the saying by now, but in case you guys don't, when the Mets score in the first, second, or third inning, what do, folks? They score early, they score often, and they tend to win ball games. Today was no different. They faced the Spencer Strider, who had nasty stuff, but the same exact way that the Mets took advantage and really jumped on Strider, got him out of not even 5 innings back in Atlanta. They got him out in 2.2 today, right? So you see Strider come out, and the Mets were awfully close to scoring there in the first. Brandon Nimmo grinds out a 10-pitch at-bat for a single. Brandon Nimmo was also awarded the Mets 2022 Hard and Hustle Award. Love that for Brandon. That's in part why I have him as high as I do on my list, not just for having a great day at the plate, but also, again, that award, he deserves it. He stepped up to the plate after being awarded. I appreciate that about Brandon. And thankfully enough, I had him on my thumbnail with Jake prior to the game start, so it was kind of a good luck thing. It worked out in the end. I didn't have to change anything, so I'm happy about that. But Brandon, after you saw Jacob deGrom make the entire side look silly, 1, 2, 3 up and down without a problem at the top of the first, only throwing 10 pitches, Brandon Nimmo sees 10 pitches, gets himself a base knock. After that, you'd see Starling Marte get on with a fielder's choice. They would be out at second as Nimmo. They did the review. The Mets won the challenge, but for whatever reason, the officials, being as god-awful as they have been so consistently throughout the series and throughout the year, find themselves in a spot where even though the Mets won the challenge, they still call Brandon Nimmo out at second. I don't know how that makes sense. I do fully believe that was a mess up on the umps. And again, Buck Showalter just continues to show you how brilliant of a manager he is, knowing when and how much there is the need to challenge in games. when Buck is going to challenge, I know that there's a 9.5 out of 10 chance that the Mets are going to win that challenge because of how consistent and how on another level he has been in comparison to all the other guys this year. So, manager-wise. So, the Mets end up not scoring there in the first, guys. Lindor would get a single, but Alonso and Vogelbach would strike out to end the inning. Not a problem because as we see, Jacob deGrom is making every hitter and their mother look absolutely stupid. The Braves entered today's game, folks, having the second most strikeouts in all of baseball. The Mets were ranked 27th out of 30 teams or so entering tonight's game. So to show you the difference in teams, if Braves fans still wondering, how are the Mets getting these type of bases? Well, the Mets know how to put the ball in play. If the Braves were in a swing and miss even more than the Phillies, maybe they would find themselves in a better position against the best pitchers in baseball. Yesterday, Mad Max making them look absolutely stupid with his slider. Jacob deGrom today, no problem. The exact same situation happened. Truly, look, guys, we've all been privileged to see Jacob deGrom. There's no denying that. But the Jake that we saw today, guys, this was the best Jake I feel I've ever seen. If it was that and the Nationals that he faced, where he struck out every hitter and their mother that we saw in the earlier of last year prior to his injuries. Other than that, I have to say that this may have very well been the best Jacob deGrom I've ever witnessed as a fan. It was packed in Citi Field this Sunday, as you'd expect. Shout out to all the fans that were in attendance. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely electric. But Jake is just carving up hitters left and right. The fastball, the slider mix, I mean, it's the best in the game. When you're touching 102 with your first fastball thrown, when the slider's touching 96 on strikeouts, I mean, if you're a Braves hitter, you're like, why in God's name did I wake up for work today? And that surely held true because they looked as silly as any other. The Braves quite literally looked like a single-A team against Jake today up until the final batter he faced in Dansby Swanson. Of course, Jake is on a pitch count. We'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about the Mets offense, because that third inning, when you score in the third, good things happen, baby. The Mets are bound to win a ball game, and they were full-fledged. Offense was locked and loaded. Braves defense was in disarray. Sounds like a day that ends in Y. Mets, however, coming up clutch when need be, and absolutely did phenomenal things today for the Amazings, guys. We see in the third, Brandon Nimmo with an infield single. Braves fans want to pull their hair out. I would too. Happens all the time, left and right. It's not luck, folks. It's just really good baseball, putting the ball in play. Good things tend to happen, everybody. Francisco Lindor, what a beautiful at-bat. Lindor, I said he would be a guy to watch today. He went 2 for 5 in his first matchup against Strider this year back in Atlanta. Had another good day at the plate. Again, went 2 for 4 today, or 2 for 5. I mean, Lindor has just been locked in. He's been red hot, and he has been consistent. Something all of us Mets fans have been praying for to get from the $341 million man, right? But Lindor gets himself a nice opposite field bloop single there. The Mets would continue after that. Before we get a Vogie, Alonso with a 2 RBI double. Riley trying to go for the ball at third. He's behind, however, and the ball hits the third base bag, bounce away, gets all the way deep into left field. That scores 2 runs. The Mets would finally tack on runs for Jacob deGrom. Could not do that against a AAA club in the Nationals a week ago. However, we're able to do it against the second best team in all the NL East right now, and the Braves. Mets get a couple runs there, folks, and then Daniel Vogelbach gets a walk, and all eyes are on Vogie. Hoagie, baby. Hoagie. Potato. He gets himself first to home thanks to a Mark Canha beautifully placed 2 RBI double and the gap in left field. That drives in a couple more. The Mets put on a 4-piece. Yes, you like those chicken nuggets? Have a 4-piece right now, baby, for the kids out there in the Happy Meal. Mets get 4 there in the third. They're off to the early lead, and Jacob deGrom continues to do what he has done best. In the bottom of the fourth, he breaks the record that was originally held by Yu Darvish for the best in MLB's history, guys, with the most strikeouts in MLB history through a starter's first 200 career starts. Jacob deGrom does it with ease. He's going to continue to blow through that bad boy. Jake is just getting started, continuing to break records now back from his injury. He was locked and loaded. This man, again, nothing short of a video game. Exactly what you would expect from Jake, but even better. I mean, look, Jake had some off placement in his first game back, which I wasn't concerned about at all, especially as he was getting into his final inning. Gave up a slider, gave up a hander, gave up a run that we saw against the Nationals. However, he was locked in this entire one, folks, up until the Dansby Swanson situation that I'll be getting into in a second. It didn't matter if you were righty batter or lefty batter. He made literally every Brave look absolutely hilarious. I mean, there's only one guy on this planet. As amazing as Max Scherzer is and was yesterday, do not get me wrong, Jake is still on another level somehow. Jake in that arsenal, his quick release, his lengthy release, having this exact same pitch placement from his fastball to his slider to his curveball. The exact same when you see the pinpoint of that ball exiting his hand is why he's the most dominant pitcher in baseball. Then you add in the velo. He's just nonchalant touching 100 to 102. 96 on a slider? On a slider. Even the best relievers in baseball wish they could do that and can't. Yet Jake is doing it against the first batters that he's seen in a game. It's just absolutely hilarious. I don't know what else to say it, but that's how dominant Jacob deGrom has been, everybody. So we see there in the fourth, the Mets would tack on. They win in the third, they would get offense in the fourth. But then the bottom of the fourth, guys, the Mets would try to tack on more. They would not be able to do so, however. Nito, who had a really nice day at the plate, had himself a nice couple base knocks, almost bloopies that dropped there in the field. That was bad placement there by either not so much Harris, but especially Robbie Grossman and Wright. But you see Nito with a single. You saw Brandon Nimmo with a double, which was great. The Mets, unfortunately, would have back-to-back flyouts. Alonso would be intentionally walked. Bases juiced, 2 outs for Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff, who's the lefty killer, who faced 2 lefties today, and Lee, who he had himself a 2 RBI opposite field double, and the Mets a 9-6 loss in Game 2 of the series. And then he wasn't able to do anything there against Minter today, lefty and righty, in which Ruff has basically 900 OPS. Unfortunately, just was not able to get the job done there for the Mets. But again, it didn't matter too much because the Mets would continue their lead all game long. In the top of the fifth, Mick hits Jeff McDoubles, baby. He gets himself his double, and he is now on a 10-game hit streak for one of the most consistent hitters in all baseball, especially the NL. McNeil scored on a pass ball then because William Contreras, not looking great at the backstop there. Had some really nice plays otherwise because, again, a lot of the pitchers for the Braves today were erratic. Was not able to handle a ball, like hit off his knee, went behind him. McNeil scores. That gives the Mets at that juncture a 5-0 lead, and you're feeling very good about a Mets team, guys. Let's not forget, when the Mets score 4 more runs in a game, they're essentially around almost 60-6 on the entire season in the win-loss column if they score 4+ runs. So you're really loving the chances of this Mets team coming out and securing a dub. Even if, say, the bullpen gets a little shaky down the stretch, you still feel confident in this club for the most part. I think most can agree. Nito would get a Bleav single that would end the inning. Then we get into the 6th. This is Jacob deGrom's final inning, folks. He gives up his first walk. He had a perfect game going into the 6th. Andrianza gets himself a walk, and then Dansby Swanson gets himself an opposite field 2 RBI home run. Unfortunately, that would end Jake's day. And even when Jacob deGrom threw absolute perfection, the first 17 sliders that Jacob deGrom threw today, folks, he had 17 whiffs. It wasn't until Michael Harris that he faced, in which he eventually got out. Harris fouled it off. I was actually battling with the slider down and in as a lefty batter. The first guy that actually showed any type of life against the slider for Jacob deGrom. He respected it. When he gave up that bomb to Swanson, he knew his day was done. He was on a 75 pitch count. He ended at 74. Buck takes him out for Joely Rodriguez, who, other than Jake, was one of the biggest stories of today's game. Let's be honest. deGrom gets a standing no, rightfully so. Jacob deGrom, 12 strikeouts and 5.2. Gives him 1 hit, 2 earned runs because of the bomb, but who cares? It was the last batter he faced when he was finally starting to get a little bit of the juice out of the tank he saw there. The energy levels were lowering slightly. Wasn't as sharp with his pitches, but that's just how spoiled we are because not sharp for his pitches. It's still some of the nasty stuff in the game you'll ever see. That walk, the 12 Ks, shot at Jacob deGrom. I mean, he's just simply unhittable. Simply unhittable. Again, Dansby got the better of him, but it's not like it mattered. Jake exits the game. Joely Rodriguez gets a quick out without a prom, and that'll do her for the inning, everybody. But as we advance a little bit forward in this game, guys, you see what really stood out for me as a Mets fan wasn't just Jacob deGrom, his ridiculous performance. And I'm going to get into everything you need to know about his Arsenal here shortly in the show. But it's not just Jake and his dominant performance. It's Joely Rodriguez. Joely comes out in the 7th. What does he do? He gives up a single to Austin Riley, righty on lefty matchup. Of course, that isn't going to do well. Thankfully, Riley didn't take him deep, just gets a base knock. However, that's all Joely gave up today in over 2 innings. He gets a strikeout. He gets a flyout on Acuna, who comes in a pinch hit. Acuna did not start this game after the rain delay. They didn't want out there with the potential wet grass because they're still trying to evaluate him and his injuries. I get it. So Acuna comes in as a pinch hitter, deep flyout. Nimmo has to catch it almost on the wall. He hits the wall, goes around 380 dead center, but not out of there. Contreras with a strikeout and Robbie Grossman with his strikeout. And again, Grossman entering that at bat had a roughly 250 averages here against Southpaws. So the same way that Darren Ruff has dominated lefties, didn't do that today. The same held true for Grossman. Was not able to do that against the lefty and Joely. Joely looked phenomenal. The best outing all year by far. The deepest he's ever won in a game this season. And you have to give credit where credit's due. Now, how consistent is this going to be? That's a different discussion. But Buck trusted his bullpen. Billy Epler, who said that they still have faith in Joely Rodriguez, something that I was completely against and still am to a certain extent. However, talk about a statement here against these Braves. Again, the biggest matchup all year long, folks. You get to the 8th inning. Marcell Ozuna with a strikeout. How you doing on a righty-lefty batter matchup? Harris, strikeout. How you doing? Lefty on lefty there. And then Andrianza grounds out. Joely Rodriguez, have a day, my friend. You stepped up. I don't know if that Jacob deGrom, the type of amazingness that he is sprinkled on you that gave you that momentum. Either way, shout at you, Joely. By far the best that we have ever seen that man pitch in a Mets uniform. He deserves all the credit in the world. And shout out Buck for backing Joely, knowing we don't really have any arms available. Yes, we have Adonis Medina, but then you go with Edwin Diaz in the ninth. And what does Edwin Diaz do in the ninth? You know the game's done. If you're the Atlanta Braves, you're like, ah, shit, this is it. Well, we might as well just go back home, go back to the hotel and start flying to Atlanta now, because we know that this matchup is done for, and it truly was, as Edwin Diaz would come in and strike out the effing side. This man is on another level right now. Edwin Diaz, a 1.39 ERA on the year, is striking out like double the batters that he's facing. He's just literally insane. Edwin Diaz, I love you to death. Talk about a comeback story for a man that was hated by every Mets fan, including myself to a degree. In his first year with the New York Mets, he has changed a complete 180. This is even more dominant, I could rightfully argue, than what we saw Edwin Diaz during his time with Seattle when he had his 60-save season. His swagger, his confidence, his fastball slider mix is quite literally just as dominant as Jacob deGrom. That's how elite Edwin Sugar Diaz is, cueing those trumpets, baby. And the Mets find themselves winning 4 of 5 games here against the Atlanta Braves, guys. And I'm just absolutely floored. I'm blown away. I'm still jaw-dropped by what I witnessed. 70 dubs on the year for a team with only 39 losses, 31 games, if I can do my math correctly, games above 500. You look through the Mets lineup here shortly, guys. Nimmo, we're going to talk about him. Actually, let's talk about Wardy's top 5, then we'll get into Nimmo. Of course, Jacob deGrom's my number 1 star, guys. If you look at the stat line, if you didn't watch the game, if you did not watch this game, then you're never going to truly understand just how unhittable Jacob deGrom was, folks. He's my number 1 star for quite obvious reasons. But in case you guys are wondering just how disgusting, just how filthy Jacob deGrom was today, everybody. 54% of his arsenal today was with that forcing fastball. And what did Jacob deGrom do? He had himself 21 swings, 7 whiffs for a 33% whiff rate. He topped out at 102 on the gun with the fastball. Minimum was 98, average was 99. The slider, 43% of the arsenal today for Jacob deGrom. He gets 20 swings and 18 whiffs for a 90% whiff rate. Simply video game numbers. Unheard of. I wish I could perform this well on MLB The Show, let alone Jacob deGrom coming out and saying, yeah, I'm going to just do what he's. Let's not forget, Jacob deGrom was doing things at a level higher than even Bob Gibson. Yes, one of the best pitchers of all time. He was doing things better than Bob Gibson up until his injuries that derailed his entirety of the second half of the season last year. Jake is right back there again. He's doing the same stuff, if not better, which is so hard to fathom. 96 is where he topped out with the slider. 92 was the minimum. 93 was the average velo, and threw a curveball a couple times. 83 miles per hour. Not like it matters much. Jacob deGrom, I don't know what else to say. Just absolutely disgusting. And I also want to give credit where credit's due. Joely, with the changeup, had a 69% whiff rate. Batters whiffed at 9 of the 13 changeups he threw. And with the sinker, a 50% whiff rate. Now, granted, it's not like it mattered much. He only threw it 2 times, so I'm not going to gas that one up. But the changeup really utilized well by Joely today, and saw him have a tremendous amount of success against these Braves hitters that are so swing and miss. Baby, look, the Braves, they have big boppers, but I got to be honest with you. I will always focus on the Braves. They will always be the team to beat this year. But, you reach a point where you're like, oh, my goodness. Okay, the Braves are a team where they're just so swing and miss that when you look at the starting staff for the Mets, when you look at some relievers they have, how can you not feel confident? Winning this 4 or 5 aside, how can you not feel confident in this team? I genuinely do not understand how you cannot feel confident. I'm taking this Mets lineup, this rotation, this entire club, any and every day of the week over this current Braves team. They don't sway me. They don't move me. Well, you're going to hit a couple bombs for your only runs? That's cute. Mets, everyone thought it was cute with their little soft singles, their infield singles, their bunts, all this. It might seem cute at first, but when you're dominating the league and doing it, and you're consistently doing it, from game 1 all the way to eventually game 162, you have to realize at some point, maybe it's more than luck. Maybe it's just the fact that this team is on an elite level better than every other club on putting the ball in play. maybe, just maybe, this Mets team is legit. I don't think that's a question anymore. I think that's a rhetorical question at this juncture. The Mets are here to stay. They're going to continue to dominate. I'm already ready for their next matchup, which I do Bleav is a 4-game set in Atlanta. This team is simply jaw-dropping. Let's get to my number 2-star, guys. Thank you all so much for the donations, the likes, the subscriptions. I love you guys all so much. Thank you kindly for that, everybody. Continue smashing those buns as always. I'll get to your donos after I continue breaking down Wardy's top 5, go through the lineup, and then we'll get to more questions. And guys, we may wrap up the show by taking callers today before the show ends. Probably around, I'd say, the 45-50 minute mark. We'll see how the live show is doing. We may take callers then. If not then we surely will once we get to an hour. Today's show will go upwards for an hour and a half. For people on replay, I'll cut it off after it's processing for a couple hours. It'll probably go around a little over a half hour. But guys, let's talk a little bit more. My number 2-star, he enters today being the Mets 2022 Hard and Hustle Reward. You are seeing reports out there that the Mets don't just want to bring WardyNYM back in the offseason. They want to make him potentially a captain of this ball club. It's been reported now. The Mets have the utmost faith in WardyNYM and what he can provide this Mets team. And what did WardyNYM do after being awarded today? Had a phenomenal day at the plate. Looked locked in. 3 for 5, grinded out Strider without a problem, had a run scored, and a double. My number 3-star, Mark Canha Cord, baby. The reason why I put Canha just over Alonso, even with Alonso having a run scored on him, is that Mark Canha had really a phenomenal double. Pete Alonso, look, he hit the bag. It's great. That's still a ball in play, and he deserves that. But if I'm looking at barreling the ball, I'm giving that, of course, to Mark Canha. Got all that bad boy, a gapper in the left field to bring in 2 runs. If you can get a ball deep enough to score Daniel Vogelback from first base, you know that you barrel the absolute shit out of that baseball. That's what Mark Canha did today. That's why he goes 1 for 3 with the double and the 2 RBIs. So Pete Alonso, same thing. Double, hits a third base bag, goes down in the left field corner. He scores a couple and has a run score on the day. And my number 5-star, guys, Joely Rodriguez. And you could even rightfully argue that Joely should be higher in the list. I'm not going to complain one bit. This is all up to what you guys decide. I just threw this up here quick because I know that needs to be discussed. 2.1, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. How you doing? My goodness gracious, Joely Rodriguez, you may have just swayed me beyond belief. I'm ready to get hurt again, absolutely. But for you to step up in the biggest outing of your season, probably the biggest outing of your career, which was today, going 2+ innings against the Atlanta Braves in this heated rivalry, battling out who's going to stay in first or the Braves going to find themselves a game closer. Instead, the Mets now have 7. The Mets are up by 7 on the Braves in the loss column. I Bleav we're 6.5 up total right now from the Braves for first in the NL East. That was directly in part with the phenomenal performance by Joely Rodriguez today. When you look at the entire Mets lineup today, folks, they got the job done. Not everyone got a hit today, but a good portion of them did. Again, the Mets had 10 hits to the measly Braves 2. They had 2 hits today. The Braves struck out a whopping 19 times. It isn't even for every single time the Mets and the Braves have matched up for the most part this year, they're striking out a minimum. Feels like 10, 12, 13, 14 times. This team is so swing and miss. It's hilarious. WardyNYM looked great. Marte went 0 for 4. Didn't matter, though. The Mets were just that good, even without any offense. Not having him on the base pass 1 today. Didn't even have a walk. Francisco Lindor, 2 for 4 with a run score. We take that, Francisco. 270 average, over 800 OPS on the year. He is tied with Trey Turner for the most RBIs in baseball among shortstops, and I think he's tied for 3rd overall in baseball right now, or 4th, with 77. Lindor's been an absolute stud. Alonso, we discussed, and Daniel Vogelback 0 for 1, but had that walk and that run scored. Darren Ruff over 2. That's a couple lefties today. Was hoping to see more, but again, you're not going to hit every time. Just because you have upwards of 900 OPS against lefties doesn't guarantee you're going to get a hit against them. Just knows that your odds are far greater than for him facing righties, and that makes plenty sense. Jeff McNeil continues his hit streak. 10 straight games now for McHits. With a McDouble today, as we discussed. 1 for 4 with the double of the runs scored. Luis Gourmet went 0 for 4, and Tomas Nino had a really nice day at the plate for the Mets catching position. Mets catchers gained a couple base knocks left and right. We will gladly take those. He goes 2 for 4 on the day. The bullpen gets it done, guys. I'm feeling electric. 7 in the loss column. You said it, Mr. Delightful. But guys, I got a lot to say more. I want to answer your donations. I want to answer your questions. I surely do want to get to callers within the next half hour or so. So for everyone here in the live chat, guys, let me know. Who was your number 1 star from today's game? Is it as simple as Jacob deGrom, or is it something a little bit more advanced than that? Is it a WardyNYM? Is it a Edwin Diaz? Is it a Joely Rodriguez? Whoever it may be, make sure to let me know on the live show right now. But for people on replay, I'm going to cut things off now. So make sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, guys. How do you feel after this massive 5-2 victory? Jacob deGrom stepping up, the Mets winning 4-5. Guys, I said in my podcast the other day for Bleav in Queens, check it out wherever you get your podcast, I had great hopes that the Mets could win 4-5, and they actually did it. They actually effing did that. Let me know your thoughts, guys, in the chat right now. Let's get those comments. People on replay, this is where I'm cutting things off.